Good day and welcome back to another DBZ Dokkan Battle video. In this video we're going to be taking a look at how to beat the Bulma event of the Heart-Pounding Heroines, and yeah, basically see how it goes. Now, I'm going to be entirely honest with you, this is a very heavily gimmicked stage, so you are going to need to meet certain requirements, but if you do so, it does become progressively easier. So there are a couple things that you need to do. Firstly, against the AGL Bulma, you have to collect a whole bunch of rainbow skill orbs. It's as simple as that. Rainbow orbs, very straightforward. Once you do that, you'll be able to move to the next stage. You only have 2 stages to collect these orbs, and it's quite a few. So bringing a rainbow orb changer does make it easier. And what we've done is we have split up the missions. So there are missions to complete this with 4 Peppy Gals. There are also missions to complete it with a Master Roshi character. So I have obviously split up the mission to make life a little bit easier. We are obviously, making time a bit easier by splitting it up. Now the next phase will be against 3 phases of INT Bulma. You have to perform 4 super attacks to move on to the next phase. You only have 1 turn to do so. Bulma hits a little bit harder. She's not game-breakingly hard, but she does hit pretty tough. Fortunately here you can seal her, stun her, debuff her in every single phase of this fight, which is very important. So bringing sealing units, stunning units, debuffing units is all very important. Although I do completely ignore that advice pretty much for my second team build, which completes the Master Roshi challenge, but hey, it's up to you. So you need to get through all the INT phases by completing 4 super attacks. The kicker here is that she debuffs your ki. She reduces your ki by -9, so you will need support or orb generators or units that generate their own ki sufficiently. If you don't manage to do that, then things become significantly tougher. The third phase, well, technically the 5th phase, but the third type of mechanic is just a standard TEQ Bulma. Now this is probably the most ordinary phase of the fight. TEQ Bulma is an enemy that you face. However, there are a little bit of mechanics to it. So firstly, you can debuff her, you can stun her, you can seal her. She hits pretty tough, but the big kicker is by how much you defeat Bulma by. See, if you defeat Bulma and you do more than 10 million excess damage, Bulma will turn into Strength Bulma. If you deal less than 10 million excess damage, then Bulma will turn into Physical Bulma. And this is very important, because Physical Bulma is way easier than Strength Bulma. For example, Physical Bulma has only 130 million health, she has 800k attack, she has 500k defense, and she does a 2 million damage super. She also only gains 50% attack and defense each turn that passes up to 100%. So she becomes very tough. By the way, both Bulmas become very tough. When I say easier, I just mean that both become very tough. But the strength one becomes very insane. Strength Bulma has 880k attack, a million defense. She also has a 2.2 million super, and she gains attack and defense at the rate of 100% per turn, up to 200%. So Strength Bulma ends up being over 4 times as strong as Physical Bulma, and Strength Bulma is, a bit of a problem, basically, to cut a long story short. So to avoid that, you want to try and manage your damage and do as little excess damage as possible to the TEQ Bulma. If you manage to do this, then you're pretty much good to go. Now with the Peppy Gals team, a lot of the team's reliance stems on debuffing. We save both Whis so that we can keep them for the final phase. We debuff, seal, and stun. Debuff, seal, and stun. Debuff, seal, and stun. And that's the majority of how we deal with this fight. We have the TEQ Kia Y, definitely crucial for this. She is able to do a massive amount of debuffing and stunning. We have the INT Oceana Shenron, also absolutely fantastic for this. She is able to seal, debuff, stun again. We have, of course, the Strength Bulma, who helps a tremendous amount with the initial phases. And yeah, just in general, obviously, like I would say, like overall, you want to look for debuffing and stunning. And it's the same with any team build you try to compete here. Like, debuffing and stunning are very crucial mechanics that are going to make this fight way easier. Like, if you just have stunners, like reliable stunners and debuffers and sealers and things like that, most of the time you're not going to have any problems with this fight. It's really that simple. Bulma is kind of strange in that way. Whereas as long as you have some really reliable sealers and stunners, chances are she probably won't even attack. And if you have units that can dish out decent damage, like Strength Videl, you'll still get through her at a decent pace. But obviously the strength variation of Bulma is just definitely way harder. Now, the second team is to complete the Master Roshi mission. This team obviously deals with the same problems, but this team is way different in that this team aims to just basically brute force its way through. The actual hardest stages for this team, weirdly enough, are the first two stages, because this team doesn't have a ton of Rainbow Orb generation. We use the physical Gogeta and the physical Super Saiyan Blue Boys to do this, but also this team basically doesn't have any kind of real supports. Like, it doesn't have a lot of supports, it doesn't have a lot of key generation, so you can also struggle in the interfaces. Like, you need to make sure that you're being very careful with these. To solve this issue, we make sure we keep the Gogeta and the Super Saiyan Blue Boys on both rotations as much as possible, because if we keep generating Rainbow Orbs, a lot of our team tend to do more than fine. Also, to solve this, I took a friend Strength Beast Gohan. However, if you want to make your life easier and you have your own Strength Beast Gohan, you can replace the physical Gohan with him. It helps a lot with the orb, or key generation I should say, for the int phases. It also just helps in general with the final phase. Now, all things considered, and looking at the whole thing in general, once you get past the first two phases, this team generally tends to have a pretty good time. I pop both Whis pretty much just for the final phase. We pretty much guaranteed to get Strength Bulma because we do so much damage that we don't have a lot of control over that. But we also do so much damage that we tend to beat Bulma so quickly, like we're able to handle the Strength Bulma increased payload. Of course, it's still not easy, and that's why you keep the revives, you have certain things up your sleeve. Physical Gohan actually did come in handy with a stun here. It was a very good stun, it did help out a lot. We used active skills, we kept the revives for the final phase, and with all of that coming together, we managed to get the win. Of course, it is still tough, it is still very challenging, it's not necessarily an easy situation. So I do understand if you are struggling with this. These are powerful units, these are LR units. It's not like this is a super easy team to build, but it was probably the easiest way, outside of having the Strength Master Roshi, I found to beat this challenge. It was just, generally speaking, the best way I could do it, with like actually having access to like this team and to a Master Roshi. So it was definitely like important. I will say the intercept skill from Gohan really gave us a good like skip. Getting the stun with this physical Gohan also really helped to set up the next turn, and we did manage to finish everything off with Vegeta's active skill, which was also great. But I think ultimately at the end of the day, honestly, once we got past the first two phases, it was always just kind of like, okay, we're just going to go absolutely balls to the walls, heads out on this. Overall, this team worked nicely. It did get everything done. I do just think, yeah, it's one of those weird stages whereby it's going to be really hard for some people, but if you got the right units, it'll be more than fine. Very straightforward. So yeah, that's it from me. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know if you did, and let me know if you have any other questions, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Till then, take care, stay safe, and as always, thank you for watching. See you guys in the next one. Bye.